Ian Anderson Gray, you are very welcome to the AI6 podcast.
Oh, it's great to be here, Joanne. It's been a long time since we've caught up, and I'm excited about AI and chatting to you about all of this stuff.
Now, you and I go way back, and you've been on every podcast that I've had. You've been at my events. We've collaborated in so many projects between ourselves and with clients, and we're marketers who've consistently evolved. And today we're reunited to talk about AI. And I just want to start by getting you to introduce yourself to my audience. Tell them a little bit about your background and your specialisms.
Wow. Well, I mean, I could probably talk for a very long time about that, but my background is I've got quite a creative background. I actually trained as a professional classical singer, and I think that shaped the way I see things today. But I've always been interested in technology and science. I set up my blog back in 2011. Or before that, I set up a web agency building websites, and we still do that today, WordPress in particular websites. And but yeah, 2011 started blogging. I got into social media and marketing for businesses. And then live video came about, and I started to speak about that and to help entrepreneurs get confident in front of the camera, but also the technology. But it was really in the last, I mean, we were talking just before about the fact that we've been using AI, well, for a very long time, in the tools that we've been using. But it's really in the last 2 or 3 years, I have just gone completely nuts in my own business implementing AI solutions, and then being asked by other clients to integrate AI and to demystify it and to help them in their businesses. And that's basically, there's been this massive pivot for me, focusing now on AI. But I have a particular view on that because of my background with creativity and technology, and also teaching as well, because all of this can sound complicated. So I'm excited about demystifying it, um, putting it into your business, but to do it in a way that helps us to become more human and more creative, not the other way around.
Because that's one of the fears that everyone has, that the human voice, the personal touch, the emotional connection that we bring to our customer and working relations will some way be gone because of AI. But in actual fact, if we do it right, it
Mm.
frees up more time for more of that critical thinking, creativity, and relationship building with
Yeah.
clients. That's what I'm excited about. So
Yeah.
tell me, what are the first steps that marketers or even businesses or organizations should be thinking about when thinking about AI?
Well, I think what I see, I almost see there are two camps of people. We've got the evangelists, and it almost feels like a cult almost. You've got these AI people who've seen the light. They're excited about AI. They're talking about it. They're saying you need to embrace AI, otherwise you're going to die in your business. They're right at the cutting edge, and they're not always the best people to explain the practical benefits of it. And then you got the other camp, completely on the other side, and they're either going to be like, I don't want to know about AI, head in the sand. I don't want to think about it. Or it might be AI is going to take away our jobs. We're all going to die. It's kind of the disaster movie that we've probably all seen. And I would say to everyone listening and watching that there is a middle way. And so I think it is absolutely important that we should be thinking about what AI can do. It is here to stay. If you feel afraid about it, if you feel scared about it, if you feel that you don't understand it, you know what? That's okay, because this is still new. If you're thinking about this now, you are ahead of the curve, believe it or not. You might not think it. And so I would encourage you to start to listen to do the research and start playing with this, being creative and seeing how you can use it in your business and in your marketing, but also in your personal life. And that might just be little steps to begin with, but if you do it that way, you'll start to see how it can help in all areas of your life. And so you've got to start somewhere. So that's what I would say, just little steps. But it is time to, I think, look at AI and see how it can make a massive difference.
And it's many marketers are listening to this podcast, and some of us might go, oh God, not another pivot, not another marketing revolution that we have to embrace. But really we have to. And what I also think is, though, if we talk about prompt engineering and how you direct a chat bot to produce something that adds value as your assistant, we've got all that decades of experience, that
Mm,
intuitiveness. Like, that's valuable. We have so many of the skills already. It's just, I think, just creating marketing assistance. So what
yeah.
what tools are you using in your business right now?
Oh, well, I mean, there are so many. I mean, the obvious one that that everyone's heard of is ChatGPT, and I mentioned ChatGPT. I pay for the Plus plan
Mhm.
because it gives me access to, for example, the custom GPTs, which is this way that you can build your own assistants. You can upload your own documents. You can customize it, so you have access to be able to create your own. But also, like, because I pay for it, I tend to get access to some of the newer models before other people do, and I absolutely hammer ChatGPT. I mean, I just use it all the time. There's the new image editor, sorry, the new image creation generative images, which is amazing. But I actually use the advanced voice mode a lot. So, like, I will just have a chat before a meeting. Um, I will kind of give it all the information about the meeting with the client, and then we'll just have a little chit chat. In fact, my wife says, "Oh, you've been speaking with your girlfriend again, have you?" Yeah. But it generally is so helpful. If I'm going out on a walk, I can have a conversation with it. And then there's the camera mode as well, so you can actually show ChatGPT the world around you. You can go to your fridge and say, what shall I make today for my dinner? I mean, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, but so that's the first one that I use. I mean, I know a lot of people, most people have heard of ChatGPT and use it, but I think most people are only using a few of the features, and it is amazing when you dig a little bit deeper what you can get from there. So that's the first tool that I use on a regular basis.
And
Should I
what
carry
about,
on?
yeah, I mean, let's keep going. I love finding out what tools you're using, because you're a bit of a tool nerd like me. What about
Yeah,
the competing ones? Like, you've got Gemini, you've
yeah.
got Llama
Claude.
from
Yeah,
Meta, you've got Claude. Are you using them for different
yeah,
functionality?
yeah, yeah. No, definitely. So the I always recommend, like, it's you probably shouldn't pay for a whole year subscription to any of these because it changes so often. And at the moment, ChatGPT, all the models is, in my opinion, aren't the best. Like, the best, well, I mean, in fact, it's probably just changed just the other week. I mean, I would say that the best is Claude from Anthropic. What's it called? 3.7 Sonnet is really good for writing, and even if you're into coding, it's particularly good. So I like that, but I don't want to kind of have to pay for everything. So you can actually, the cool thing about these tools like ChatGPT and Claude and Google is you can use either the free version or the chat version through their apps or their websites. But you can also use what's called, sorry if this sounds a bit geeky and techy, but you can use their API um, with other tools. So there's a tool called Magi, magai.co, and that allows you to use multiple models. So you can use Claude, you can use Google, you can use ChatGPT, and you can swap between them. Uh, and this is very geeky, there's one called LibreChat, and that allows you to do the same thing. And that is on a pay as you go basis. So what I do is that I use ChatGPT for pretty much everything, but when I want to use Claude, I'll go onto that, or Google, um, and so I can basically have a little play and see which one's best for each one. So that's what I would do. And then the other tool that is kind of similar but different is Notebook LM from Google. I don't. Have you used this,
Yeah,
Joanne?
yeah, yeah. I used it in, even in one of these podcast episodes
Mm.
too, to analyze a chapter of my book.
It's not. So it's
Mm,
not the most creative. It's
mm,
deliberately not creative. It's
mm.
very much, the idea is that you dump loads of documents in it. You can link to YouTube videos. So I find this so helpful if I'm learning about something, particularly in the world of AI. There's all these new buzzwords which do my head in, like agentic AI and RAG and all these kind of technical terms. And so what I will do is if I'm wanting to learn about this, I'll just add loads of YouTube videos about that subject. And then I can ask it questions specifically on that subject. And even better for me is you can then create a little podcast between these two people, and they'll actually talk, have a conversation with each other, and it's a great way of learning, particularly for like if you have a brain like mine, where actually learning from listening to things is really helpful. They've also got a cool, I think they call it immersive mode or something, or interactive mode. I can't remember exactly, where you can interrupt them on the podcast. So you can actually start asking them questions and they'll then answer you, which is very strange. And I've used this also working with, if I've had a meeting with a prospective client, or I've actually put in some of the documents, some of the things that we've been talking about in there, and then converted that into a podcast, and then listened to that on the way to the meeting, just so I've got everything in my head before that. So Notebook LM is amazing, and you can actually use Notebook LM with all the other tools. So you could go into Notebook LM, get it to summarize things, bring that into Claude, which does a better job at then making it sound more creative, and then put it in somewhere else. And so it's just understanding all of these tools have their strengths and weaknesses. And I think the power you get is from using them all together, which might say, so if all of this is sounding like, oh my goodness, this is doing my head in, it sounds like you don't need to do that straight away. Just start using the tools individually, but over time, you can then start to do this really fun and cool and exciting stuff by mixing them all together.
And you know what I really think AI for marketing is about, and aside from producing marketing asset output, it's
Mm.
about streamlining process.
Yes, yes.
That's where I see the added value. And that's why what we've got to challenge, every tool that we want to use or we decide to pay for, where is it adding value in my
Yeah.
organization? Because everybody's afraid it's going to replace us. But for me, I'm like, oh my God, I just become more efficient and I have more critical thinking time. And I came back from a 2-day session with a client, and it was a long drive home, and you want to see the amount of voice notes that I dumped
Yeah.
into ChatGPT because it was fresh in my mind. And I was like, my stream of consciousness was so fresh and rich. And I was able to get that down really easily and then sleep very well at night and go, okay, my thoughts are organized. I know what I need to do next.
Mm.
Let's go and do it. So for marketers who want to streamline process, like what do they need to know? Because some marketers say, I'm not a techie, I'm a creative, don't give that to me. But I think we can embrace it, right? You think it's not that tricky?
Yeah. Yeah. And this is the cool thing about these tools like ChatGPT and Claude. Like you might not be a techie, but you can get it to help you understand and build these things. So, I mean, you can say, look, I'd really like to, I've got this process, or I've got a podcast. I'm spending too long on it. Ask ChatGPT to help you streamline it and build it together. It's your assistant. And so you could start to build your own processes using that, even if you're not a techie, because ChatGPT can do all of that technological thinking, and it might not be able to implement everything, but it can take you through the steps, even if you don't understand it fully. So if you're going to use a tool, let's say you're going to use Notion, you think you've heard everyone talking about Notion, you think it
Mhm.
might be a good thing, but you might not know how to use the tool. And you might not think, well, how is this going to help me in my podcast process? But you can ask ChatGPT, like, how can I use this? You could also look and see what other people are doing. You can download that material and tell ChatGPT, I've seen Joanne do this amazing thing with her podcast. Like, can you help me to understand how I could implement it? Um, and so, yeah, it's a great way of helping you understand. And it's infinitely patient. So if you say, I don't understand, can you explain that? And it'll do that. It will keep helping you to do that. Yeah, that's again another reason why I'm excited about this. It's kind of, I don't know whether this is the right way of saying it. It's like democratizing the technology. So in the
Mm.
past, you'd have to go to the head of IT, and I'm not, I'm generalizing here because I know lots of people in IT who are lovely and good communicators, but you know, the typical one might just like bombard you with technical stuff, and then you just don't know where you are. Um, Whereas now you can actually build these tools and even go to your head of IT and say, look, this is what I need, because ChatGPT has helped you with that. So does that all make sense? I
Oh,
think it's great.
absolutely, absolutely. Now, for somebody who has built and is building websites, who's always managed to get vlog posts to the top of page one on Google, I want to talk about search marketing and how it's changing, because
Oh yeah.
for Google being the Goliath of search, man, their business model has to change, right? And I don't know about you, but I ain't Googling as much as I used to. And I don't, and I think they know that as well. How is search changing, and what role are our websites going to play?
Yeah, this is a fascinating subject. I mean, I think websites are still going to be massively important, but is we need to stop thinking about people, or just relying on people coming to our websites from the likes of Google. We need to start thinking about appearing in ChatGPT, in Perplexity, in all. That's the other tool I forgot to mention. Perplexity is another cool tool, which is all about search. And so we need to start like, how do we end up in the likes of the large language models? And so I see this was actually recently I saw actually having a page on your website which is written for the these training models as they go around searching the web. You're actually putting all the information about you on a page in a way that that search engine, um, sorry, large language model can get that information in an easy to understand way. So I think we need to start thinking about not just the humans, not just the search engine robots on our website, but we also need to think about the AI tools as they start to learn about things. Because when people start searching for something, or asking a question on Claude or ChatGPT, you want them to what they want. You want them to mention you, don't you? So that's what I think we need to be focused on as well.
Now, I don't know about you, but when I'm talking to marketers, and I do a bit of a primer and go, hands up if you're using AI tools, people are very reticent. I don't know if there's like shame or something associated with admitting that you use AI tools.
Yeah,
Um, and
yeah,
also the fear, or a feeling that somebody thinks that you're less than now. You know what I mean? Because we have this technology. Are you getting that from your clients, or how are you receiving this if in a
yeah,
conversation?
yeah. Well, it's like for my clients, no, because I suppose that they've come to me because they've already they're already wanting to embrace AI. But like I've been at conferences, marketing conferences recently, where there's a sizable minority of people that are in that second camp I was talking about. They're scared. They don't want to embrace it, and they are worried about using the likes of ChatGPT, because that's going to, it almost feels like cheating, or it feels like they're somehow their humanity or their creativity is being taken away from them. And I kind of get where they're coming from. I can see why they see it that way, but the way I see it is that um, if you're using ChatGPT in a smart way to create your content, then that shows you're smart, I think. If you're just saying to ChatGPT, write me a blog post about marketing, and then you copy and paste that and put that on your blog, then yeah, you're not going to do well. And that is lazy. But for most of us using AI at the moment, is we're using AI as part of the process. We're brainstorming. We're using our voice maybe to brainstorm. We're using AI to do some research. We're using AI to help with the grammar and the punctuation. We use AI to help us to write copy that is going to resonate with our particular audience or our avatars. We're using it then to make sure that it adheres to our values and our brand, and that all of that stuff is almost impossible to do as one human being, because we're not going to have all those skill sets, and there's too many things for us to kind of hold in our brains. But with AI, we can do that, and without AI, you're not going to do that same job, the ability to do that, and you're going to have to hire lots of people to do that. And as businesses develop and we're in this kind of changing world, we have to start using these tools, because otherwise I'm afraid to say, we're going to be left behind. So I think actually it's smart to use these tools. It's not lazy.
Yeah, and that brings me on to uh, Gen AI images, so graphics that are
Mm.
generated by AI. You know, we prompt it to create it. Obviously, you've got to label these wherever you're using them, whether it's on social, on web, in marketing documents. At what stage are we going to see our news feeds just completely cluttered with Gen AI, and how are the public going to respond?
Well, I mean, arguably we're actually there now. I mean, at the moment, so maybe a month ago, we had ChatGPT had DALI, which was their image generation tool, and arguably it was all right, but you could pretty much tell when somebody was using an image that was generated by DALI. They just had that look to them. But we're getting to the stage now with the new image generation and ChatGPT. We've got Midjourney, we've got these other tools where it's getting really hard to tell the difference. And so it comes down to, and this is not just images. Like, should we actually say on our websites, on our copy, on our social media, this has been generated using AI, or this, like 90% of this has been generated using AI? Like, if AI is actually doing a better job than us as humans, like, where's the ethics in this? Where's the morality? And I've seen statistics that show that when AI has been used for images and for copy, to and done in a really, like, intelligent way, a smart way where it's actually knows your style, um, that people actually prefer that content than actually written by the human. If they're not told, however, if they're told AI was used, then they're a little bit kind of funny about it. My view on this is I think it is still important for the human to be involved with this. I do think it is important that you say, if it is totally AI generated, then I think it's important to say. But we are getting to a point we're not going to be able to tell the difference, and is that scary? Yeah, maybe. But that is the world we're kind of going into. And so when it comes to generate image generation, you've also got to think about IP, intellectual property. If you try and go into any of these tools and say, "Here's an image of me," help make an image of me flying across a lake, looking like a superhero, ChatGPT won't allow you to. It won't create that because superhero is trademarked. So, but it means all the images that you create, you don't have the copyright for. So we've got to think about all of these things as well when it comes into it. And so I'm using these image tools as a way to brainstorm ideas. I still will use designers to get me that extra way. And so yeah, there's a lot of things to navigate and think about at the moment.
Okay, let's finish with a quick fire round. Um, your favorite AI tool?
Oh my goodness. It's
That's
kind
like
of has
asking
to.
who's your favorite child?
I know. Like, how could you? Well, it is going to have to be ChatGPT because of all the things I mentioned before.
Yeah. In terms of how AI is going to change social media, what do you expect is going to happen over the next year?
We're going to unfortunately get loads more AI generated content, and we're going to be drowning in all of that. But I'm excited about tools that will allow us to to help us to communicate and engage with each other on a human to human level, like more of the AI agent that's going to help us uh, cut through that noise and get to the stuff that's really important.
Okay, and finally, what is the future for marketers and creators and teachers like us in the AI age? Is it bright or should we be worried?
Uh, I think it's probably a combination. I think we've got to evolve. We've got to kind of we've got to evolve. We've got to pivot. We've got to lean into our creativity, but we've also got to embrace these tools because they're here to stay. And we shouldn't be complacent about it all. So I'm optimistic. I'm excited about it. But yeah, keeping an eye out on the whole thing.
I'm so glad we still have the energy for this, Ian.
I know, but this kind of stuff, it does energize me because I think AI, it's not just a buzzword. Well, it is a buzzword, but it's something that actually can make a really positive impact on us. It already is. It's helping us do what we do best, like our creativity, and we don't have to kind of do so much of that the boring stuff.
Exactly. So listen, where can people go and find you? And if they want to hire you, where do you want to direct them?
So the best place is my website, iag.me. I'm in the middle of a pivot. So if you, depending on when this podcast episode goes out, it might not show exactly everything that I'm doing, but that's in process. Or LinkedIn is probably the other place. Just search for me, Ian Anderson Gray, and that's Gray with an A.
Fantastic. As always, my friend, an absolute pleasure to speak to you. Thank you for your insights. And no doubt I'm going to have to bring you back because this world is moving so fast and you're always
It so is.
a
Yeah.
great friend to have a conversation with. So, Ian Anderson Gray, thank you so much.
Thank you.